So I started with this beautiful old quilt top that wouldn't lay flat to have quilted, and I picked the blocks apart so that I could use them each in a fun and creative way. And the first thing I wanted to do was put a block on a sweatshirt. So I took a block out and I'm using this Wonder Under interfacing. You can find it at most of your big box fabric shops. And I this part, you want to cut it just a little bit short of how big your block is. Now, I have taken my block and folded in 1/4 inch all the way around so that when I sew it down onto my sweatshirt, those seams aren't exposed. And so here I'm kind of playing around with getting it the right size for my block, and you'll have to do that too because you don't want your interfacing coming out beyond your quilt block. So you can see here it's still a little close to the edge on one of the sides, and if it comes out too far, then it ends up on your sweatshirt and it kind of looks gummy, and I want to avoid that. So I like how that is. I'm going to press it in place with my iron. You don't want to use steam on this. It's just a good dry iron, and you press it down. The packaging shows you how to do this, so it's pretty easy to get it down. But you press it down and make sure it's fully adhered in all the corners. Okay, so now is the fun part of pulling the paper off of the interfacing. And you really want to be careful as you're pulling that you're not pulling up the sticky part as you go. So I kind of, on a bigger block, I'll work slowly into the middle and hold back the block so that I don't pull that interfacing up. And here I'm just kind of checking to make sure my 1/4 inch is going to have room to fold down. Okay, so on this one, am choosing to put it on the back of my sweatshirt instead of the front, just to kind of do something a little bit different. It's really easy to just fold your sweatshirt in half and then fold it again and kind of use your iron to mark at the center point. Now, when I put my block down, I don't want it directly in the middle, but I at least know where the middle is. I like to actually put my block a little above that center point. I just think it looks a little bit better than if it's directly in the middle of the sweatshirt. So I have that mark. I can put my block down. I've got that sticky side that's going to help adhere it. And I'll kind of play with it in the middle and then adjust it up to where I like it to be. And again, I'm kind of checking those edges to make sure they kind of are able to get folded in. Once you have it where you like it, you can iron it down, and that interfacing will adhere it to your sweatshirt. And this keeps you from having to have a ton of sewing and stitching that attaches it. This will attach it there, and then you just have to worry about the edges. Okay, at this point I want to start kind of working those edges in to where they're pressed down and in place, so that when I go to sew, it's a lot easier to maneuver through. So I'm just going to kind of slowly go edge by edge and make sure that 1/4 inch is pressed down. You could definitely pin if you'd like to. I'm not a huge pinner, so I don't, but that might be a helpful step. Okay, it's time to sew it down, and I'm going to use a zigzag stitch for mine. And you really just go around the edge of the block. It's a really simple step. The hardest thing is maneuvering your sweatshirt around the machine, but you'll sew all 4 edges with a zigzag stitch. Okay, I have it all sewn down. We have a few threads that'll need to be trimmed. And I think on this one, I'd like to add a little tag. I have my company tag, so I'm going to add that, but I think a little tag just above the block would be kind of cute to add to a sweatshirt like this to make it look more finished. Okay, I have my tag sewn down. The back of it looks really cute. I've trimmed it up. And I wanted to add on this one something kind of fun, kind of where the pocket on a pocket tee would go, with some special stitching. So I am going to sew a sawtooth star right in that area. I printed off a basic sawtooth star, and I'm going to cut it out and then trace along the outline of it so that I have stitching lines. Okay, I have it all traced, and I'm going to use pearl cotton number 8. It's my preferred hand quilting thread to stitch just kind of a running stitch on this. It really shows up really, really cute with a thicker thread. It's almost like an embroidered look. So messy is fine on this. It is not meant to be super finished. You kind of want it to look organic. I think it looks cuter that way. Okay, and you'll just keep going and tie a knot in the back. I'm not going to show the whole thing. And here's my finished sweatshirt. I think it's such a fun way to upcycle those quilt blocks that weren't going to get finished otherwise.